All right, Sue, thank you so much for allowing me to record this portion of the interview. I understand that you worked for a very large law firm here in Daytona that closed their Daytona branch and opened up, well, I shouldn't say open up, but moved all their business to the Orlando and Ocala area. So here we are today, um, looking for something new for you. So I'm going to go ahead and give you the floor. Why don't you tell me a little bit about the work that you've been doing recently, and then the work that you did at the law firm and the junior league. So you have the floor.
So lately I have just been kind of trying to find a position with one company. I did try and start my own bookkeeping business, but everyone, well, in the bookkeeping business kind of knows you need to have those personal contacts in order to be able to get employers to trust your work. I've only been in Florida for about 8 years, so not a whole lot of people know me because almost immediately I started working at the junior league and then the law office. So it was a little bit of a struggle, and I either had people that approached me that needed a complete redo of their system, or they had so few hours that it just wasn't practical. A lot of times what I can do is I can go through people's QuickBooks, which I did for a couple of different people. I'll go through their QuickBooks and I'll streamline them to where they hardly need me at all. I did that with an insurance company. He ended up having me train his wife to take care of the books. Another gentleman does trucking, and I've kind of streamlined it so he only needs me for a couple of hours every few months. But that's what I've been doing this last year or so. What I did before with Cameron Hodges was I was brought in to kind of help the office manager with the software because they weren't utilizing the accounting package that they had. And then once I dug in, a few months into it, once I found out how they were doing things, I started getting staff trained on the software and getting the attorneys to use the software in the manner in which it should be used. So we kind of got a better focus for each department. We went through accounts payable, got everything reconciled. Then we went into accounts receivable, and I helped streamline the accounts receivable department, got them fully trained on the software, logging hours with the attorneys, etc. And then we got them a new payroll system. I got them a new payroll company, and that got streamlined. When all was said and done, they decided they only needed 2 offices rather than 3 offices because I got them to see where a lot of their finances were going. So as a lot of times I do, I work myself out of a job. So they offered me to come work full time and continue doing what I was doing, which was overseeing all of the accounting department. But I needed to commute to Orlando, and I really wasn't willing to do that. When I lived in California, I did a lot of commuting there, and that's kind of why we ended up moving to Florida. Before that, I worked at the Junior League at Daytona Beach. They used to have a thrift store in there. They're over on Palmetto. Now they've closed the thrift store because of COVID. So once they closed the thrift store, there wasn't quite enough hours for me to do. But on the bookkeeping side, I managed all of their membership, the membership drive. When they would have an event, I would help plan that with finance in mind, and I would work with the board of directors, which they changed every year, on the inner workings of the bookkeeping end of it. But when the thrift store closed, they didn't need as much help, and again, I worked myself out of a job. So and then the attorney's office offered me the consulting job, so that's kind of why I jumped ship there. But I've had some background in assistant manager for a small retail store when I was raising my children who are in their 30s now. I've worked for large corporations. I've worked for veterinarians. I used to coach volleyball for a long time, so I know how that kind of works with nonprofits and fundraising, etc. And I'm very computer savvy. So you can pretty much plop me down in front of a computer and show me the basics of a software system, accounting packages, and I can pretty much figure it out on my own. So I know QuickBooks like the back of my hand, but I do know
Okay.
quite a few other accounting packages. So that is probably a good overview of my most recent work history.
Well, that's wonderful. So I had it written down to ask you about QuickBooks, and then you answered. And so you said full charge. Gosh, I don't think that there was anything that I was going to ask you that you didn't already say. I'm just looking at my list here. Available full time?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. All right. I'm going to go ahead and stop this part of the interview, but don't go anywhere. We got a few more things to
Okay.
chit chat about.